All right, chapter 4 exercises. Here we go. So we'll start off here with number 2. Just doing our general SAT process again. Find our verb, usually into the sentence. But in this case, we actually have 2 verbs going on. Underline our nouns, bella, pericula, and then if we can, identify anything else. Fantastic. So we'll do the more detailed part on our verbs first. So start with sunt here. Sunt, that SU can title you into, it's a form of sum, is or to be. That NT will tell you into that it's third person plural present form of sum. So they are. The other verb here, we have habent, NT. Very good clue. This is from habeo, habere. We drop the RE and we add an NT. So third person plural present as well. Next, we'll do our nouns. So we have bella, comes from bellum, belli. So that's second declension. Neuter, however, not second declension masculine. If you see there on the declension chart, you'll see that the ones in parentheses refer to the neuters in the second declension column. And bella could either be nominative plural or accusative plural. I'll let you guess which one. It is likely because it's at the start of the sentence. If you guessed nominative plural, you'd be right. Nominative plural neuter. The other noun in the sentence, we have pericula. That comes from periculum, periculi. Same situation. It could be nominative plural or accusative plural. Well, it's not at the start of the sentence, so that will hint us towards accusative plural, but we'll make the decision on that later. So yeah, lastly, we have the adjectives here. This is from, in this chapter, you learned about substantive adjectives, not just attributive adjectives. So if the boy is the nice boy, right? Nice would be an attributive, right? He is nice. Substantive stands in the way of a normal noun, where the noun is implied and or before in a linking verb. So in this case, we have mala, which is bad or evil or wicked, you could say. It ends, it's an usa ends in a, ends in a. Sunt are, so this is describing bella. So it's the same thing, nominative, plural neuter ending, but it's an adjective. We can go ahead and translate this. I'll drop the chart here, that way you can see. So we can translate this as wars, right? What are they? Are evil or bad. I'll just do bad. Et and, right? Just a conjunction. And what? Something they haven't. So something has, and it could either be and they have dangers. That would be where pericula is accusative plural. Or it could be and dangers are having, and we'd have to find some sort of multa, right? That would have to be a substantive, and dangers are having much. That doesn't make any sense, right? So now, like I said, we'd come back to it, and now we can cross out nominative plural on this one. Multa is just describing pericula. So same as pericula. And they, in this case, the they is wars, right? And wars, that is the subject for habent, have multipericular, many dangers. Okay, yeah, next one. This one we have puellae magistron de concilio malo sine mora monet. Seems like the monet got cut off here. Monet. So same form here. start with our verb. We've seen moneo, monere before. I'll go ahead and underline all my nouns in the sentence. Puella is a noun. Vestrum is a noun. Concilio is a noun. And mora is a noun. Concilio and mora being new nouns that you probably haven't seen before. The next step in sapping is for your prepositions, the ones that apply, the next step that applies. So de is a preposition, and sine is a preposition. I think it'll be pretty obvious that we only have one word left there. So we've bracketed our prepositional phrases. So now let's go into it. So monent, we have an NT, right? Monere, drop the RE, add the NT, just like before. We saw it's third person, plural, present, right? They are moneo, they are warning, they are advising. Who is the they? Well, let's go back to the start of the sentence because that's usually where our subject is. So it's puella, puellai. If you go to your declension chart once again, you should see that puella, first declension, I could be dative singular, it could be genitive singular, or it could be nominative plural. The thought here is it's at the start of the sentence, and we have a plural verb in the sentence, so that is two to the good on nominative plural feminine. From puella, puellai, instead of dative or genitive. Next we have magistra, magistra, stri. So we have magistrom in this sentence. It's first declension, same as puella. And then this we only have one option because of the am ending on it, right? One option, accusative, singular, feminine. All right, and we can go ahead and make the main part of the sentence here. Actually, yeah, I'll write it over here that way you can definitely see it. The girls are warning or warn the teacher, right? And the rest is all detail. But the main complete sentence is the girls warn the teacher. So let's get into the detail. Day, I actually think I omitted this from your vocab list, but it means to be about, or about, it means about, it's a preposition. It takes ablative. Sine is also a preposition. It takes ablative. We see malus as an adjective again. So let's go into it. Concilio, concilium, neuter, second declension. We see there that it is either dative singular from our second declension column, it's dative singular, or ablative singular. We have a preposition that takes the ablative right next to it. I think you can guess. It's ablative singular neuter. Same thing for malo, because it's the adjective, gender, number, case, agreement. Very similar case here, but with a different declension. Mora comes from mora, morai, first declension, not second. So we take that leftmost column's endings, singular and plural. We have a with a macron on it as the ending to the stem, right? So that clues you in that that is ablative singular, which is what we were looking for from this preposition. So now let's just put it together. The girls warned the teacher about, that's our preposition, about what? About the concilio malo, I'll put evil this one, evil plan. Sine mora, without, for your vocab list, without. Mora, delay. All right. I think that one's pretty fully fleshed out there. Right, so this one, we see here that pochi viri, we've seen that actually before in these guided exercises. So that should be a familiar 2 words for you. But just sapping this one, I'm just doing it in order. We'll start with the first half of the sentence because we have this hyphen, so I won't move on to the next until we get past this. A good clue if you already know adjectives and they are ending, if the words next to them end in the same ending, generally they will be agreeing. So I'll get into it here in a second. But weary, veery, comes from weary as well. That could be that second declension masculine. So it could be nominative plural, or it could be genitive singular. It's at the start of the sentence. So good guess, it's going to be nominative plural. But if we have any issues, we'll fit to them later. Same thing for pocky, right? Gender number case. So it's nominative plural masculine because it comes from pocus, usaum. Formos comes from forma, for my, first declension. If we look at our first declension and on the chart here, AS only has one possible, and that's an accusative plural feminine. I'll skip to our verb now. Wouldn't comes from widio, widere, so we drop the re and added an nt, right? So like we've seen before, that makes it third person plural present, right? So they see, not he, she, it sees, they see. And that matches up with our nominative plural that we chose for the viri, right? Periculi comes from pericula, or periculum, periculi. So that is a second declension neuter. A periculi is, it cannot be nominative plural because it would be pericula if it was plural. So this is only genitive singular. So kind of a opposite case of what we had with weary, where we had the choice. Here we just have the genitive singular, since it's neuter and not masculine. So it does make a difference, as you can see. In is preposition. It can take either the ablative or the accusative. And we'll see here. Pecunia with a macron comes from pecunia, pecunii, first declension, meaning wealth or money, as you can see in the vocab. So if we go back to our first declension chart on the far left, A with a macron tacked on is ablative singular, which fits with our preposition that can take ablative or accusative. So let's translate this half. We've seen this before. Few men, what can they do? They see the formos, the many forms, not just the formos, the multis formos. A genitive singular periculi, genitive is not to or for, it's of, right? So the many forms of danger or peril in pecunia, in wealth. All right. Now we can skip to the second part. So we have non-debemus esse avari. I'll swap out here. I'll throw up the verb chart here. So debemus is something we haven't actually seen yet for a verb ending. Well, you may have learned about it, but in these exercises we haven't seen it yet. It comes from debio, debere, to o or to ot, must. So we've dropped an re instead of like an nt, like we've seen very commonly. We added a mus. So that means we are first person. I'm actually going to drop the verb chart now. That way I can move this. There you go. So we are first person instead of third. First person, plural present, right? So we ought, not they ought, we ought. Esse is another verb. However, it's an infinitive. And it's a present infinitive specifically. So writing here. We, oh, not ought, non-devamus, not, or we ought not. Se, to be, not is, since it's an infinitive. Avari. Avari is not a noun. It's an adjective that's being a substantive adjective, right? It's not a noun, but it's an adjective that's substanting. We have an I, so word up to be, typically you'll see a nominative plural there. Matches up with the we for generalized Latin groups. So we ought not to be what? We ought not to be greedy. Because there's a lot of danger in being greedy. And few men see that. Alright, so last one. Kind of a two-parter here. So starting with the first half. Actually, to be consistent, I'll keep this in red. All right, so we sap this whole sentence here. Starting with habetus, comes from habeo, habere, right? So we've dropped an re, and in this case we added a tis. Harder to see here, but tis. From your verb chart, you'll see in the top left that corresponds to using the second part and adding tis. That is a second person. So we're starting to introduce different persons, right? So that way we can do different types of sentences. So it's second person plural present. So you, or you all, you plural, right, is the subject of the sentence. So if we go back, multum is an adjective, sees it conjunction, so pecuniam, pecunia, first declension. So for your declension chart, you'll see that has only one option as an accusative singular. And the same thing, noun adjective agreement, right? So we can go ahead and translate this part. And actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and do the other, since I have the chart up. We'll skip the adverb. It's an adverb. Estis is a form of sum that you should have learned in this chapter from the irregular forms of sums, but you can kind of see the tis. Same deal then. Second person, plural, present. You all are, right? Y'all are. Sine, we've seen. It's a preposition. It means without. And it takes the ablative. So we're kind of searching for an ablative. Well, we have curis. That's a weird ending there. It comes from cura, curai, which is first declension. So if you go over the far left, now we're looking for an is ending. And you'll see that is ending could either be dative, plural, or ablative, plural. Which one are we looking for? Ablative, plural. So probably an ablative, plural, if I had to guess. Type A, I'll draw it since it's an adverb, but it modifies estis as an adverb, not an adjective. So translating, if, starting with our conjunction, if our subject is you all, right, or you, plural, are having, have, much wealth, often, and non-estis, you are not sine curis. Let me drop this chart here. I think you probably couldn't see that first part. You are not without care, concern, concerns, problems.